Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another A2 hosting webinar. I've got my good friend, WordPress expert, Vasyl Martyniuk, and we're going to be talking about WordPress Access. I've known Vasyl for a couple of years now, and he's got a plugin. He does consulting around this type of work. And as we were talking, I was like, this is something we got to share. Security is such a huge issue, and it's one I overlooked. WordPress Access. I've been doing WordPress a long time. I'm not a developer. However, I listen to experts like Vasyl. So Vasyl, thank you for coming on today and talking about this important subject, WordPress Access as a security feature. I'm excited for what we're going to be talking about today. But to start, could you give us a little intro about yourself and some background?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm super pumped to be here and honored to be part of this, I don't know, we'll call it show or webinar. So I've been in a space of WordPress since 2011 when I moved to States. So it's been quite a long time, and it started everything pretty simple. I didn't expect anything. I just built a plugin, and out of necessity, I work in a marketing agency, and we had a project where we need fine-tuned access controls to the website, to the WordPress website. And it was actually the first plugin I ever built for WordPress. And I put it online, and it just took off. People started to download it and use it. So over the years, I've been supporting, adding new features as people were requesting them. And never thought that going to be my full-time thing. It always was a side gig, and I was changing companies all the time. Different industries, from insurance, banking, healthcare, media, marketing, all over the place. And most of these industries use WordPress on a daily basis. They have some online properties where they use WordPress as a to-go CMS solution. So I learned a lot from all these industries, and I started to incorporate those in the plugin as well. Then time went by, and more features came in, more and more users started using it. It came to the point where over 100,000 websites started to use AAM. And I was like, okay, maybe it's time to look into this as a full-time thing, as something that I can, put full focus, build a team around. And, last year, and I think it was a Cloud Fest, I shared with you that I'm probably going to go full time with this. And yet I did. So, pulled the trigger on that, and here I am.
That's awesome. And it's great to be able to watch your journey. And along the way, as we talk deeper and deeper, I know you had the product, but your experience around this topic was huge. You saw a need for it, put it into the product. I put a link for everybody into the chat, and it'll be in the show notes afterwards. This whole issue with WordPress Access, and I know you've worked with a lot of enterprise clients, and the thesis for me is whatever enterprise is doing, they're going to have it completely locked down. Are great best practices for down the stream, lower volume type websites and things like that. And so this whole issue of WordPress Access, curious, what does WordPress Access mean to you?
Yep. Well, you're right on the fact that I've seen and experienced so many unfortunate cases where people really overlooked the access management as a practice. And maybe before answering your questions, I give some pretext why it is overlooked. And in my opinion, is because there's two big markets in WordPress that drawing people attentions off the access management aspect. One of them, most website administrators, maintainers, owners, they want to secure their site. They want to make sure that it's protected. There's no bad actors that can access it. So naturally, they think about security. And there's a handful of plugins and solutions out there that talk about security, talk about how to lock down your website, how to make sure it's not broken all the time. And they educate people with a lot of different stories, scarcity. I wouldn't say using scarcity tactics, but rather disclosing all these bad things that can happen. So that itself already overwhelming people in a space like security. Let's use all these plugins. Let's secure a website. And on the other side, people, when website owners think about giving access to certain group of people to certain features, they immediately think about memberships. So, we have a certain group of users that need to do certain things. Let's install membership plugin. And membership plugins, there's a handful of really good plugins out there. And they also are kind of like overwhelming people with all kind of features like building profiles, building community, communication between members, and digital downloads and all the things. And access control, access management, it's something that sits between. It's something that sits between, and really nobody talks about it. Nobody really think that, access itself, it's a very granular and fine-tuned thing. And it's also complex to comprehend, especially when there are so many issues in general with WordPress when it's coming to the capabilities and roles. So in my opinion, how to explain what is access management. It's, I could go deep into explaining roles and capabilities and all the things, but we're probably going to lose half of our audience with the next 10 minutes. And those who remain going to probably use this recording as a way to fight insomnia. So I would use analogy. I liked your analogy we talked a couple of weeks ago about this webinar, and you brought the analogy of a house. So let's think about the website as a house. You have a beautiful house that is located on a very busy street. People walk by your house. They look at it. They might take pictures. That is all good until there are intruders. There's people that want to break into your house. That's where traditional security comes in play. You install a security cameras. You install a state-of-art lockers on your doors. You install a secure windows. You maybe build a fence around your house, right? All that is a traditional security protecting your website from the intruders. But what happens when you start inviting guests inside your house, right? You most likely, you're not going to live in seclusion. You have people that you have neighbors, families that come into your house, and you do not really want them to go to the master bathroom and use your toothbrush, or go to your office and check your tax returns for the last year, right? And that's where access controls comes in place. It basically is something that answers the questions: who can do what, when, and how, which room they can go in, which cannot, setting the boundaries. And that's what is access management for. And nobody knows your house better than you. So there's no plug and play solution that will go and, customize everything for you. You should be engaged. You should be involved into the process of defining all these boundaries. And you should continuously monitor that those boundaries are not, broken. So that's kind of expanded answer to your question.
I like it. I mean, in my scenario, you go, I've forgotten sometimes. I give somebody an admin, like a key to my house, and forgotten about it. So someone has a key to get in and can go in and use my toothbrush, or do something to the site. And it's that, I grew up in rural Oklahoma, and oftentimes people didn't lock their doors. And that's the same sense here to me. But I think the nuance too, when you look at WordPress user roles, and I agree, getting down into the nitty gritty there, but I've been doing WordPress for a while now, and I don't know exactly what all the roles downstream from admin do, but I know from our conversations, those can present security risks too. So even if they have access to a foyer or something, there could be a way to get into some other aspect and those types of things. And frankly, I've just forgotten.
Yeah.
You give an admin to a designer, and then a year from now, you're not using that designer anymore, but there's still something lingering out there that person's email and security could get hacked, and then they could expose mine. And that's a pretty pretty big issue to me
Yeah.
that I know your product helps with. And this conversation, I think, just illuminates it for others. So,
And you're correct. We sometimes we ask our premium customers to share admin credentials so we can go and troubleshoot certain access control aspects. And you know what? They forget to delete their accounts.
yes.
And we have some clients that for years we still have admin account on their sites. So we did what's possible on our end. We changed the password and never recorded it, so we even don't have access to it. But people forget. You're right, and they move on with their lives, with their projects and passions, and boom, you have multiple people having admin access to the site. They can do whatever.
Yeah. And security overall for the internet, even outside of WordPress, is non-negotiable. You cannot have insecure passwords. Use a password manager for all your sites. You don't want the same password on some other site. It's going to get hacked at some point.
Yep.
And so it's a big issue for the web. It's also a big issue for WordPress. WordPress is secure, continually being updated for the latest exploits and make sure there's patches. I'm very confident in WordPress in that aspect. But then there's this level, which is leaving the door open, giving keys to people. And those things are pretty important. And it is, to me, even when we talked, overlooked. But it's still extremely important. And I know from talking to you, because you do consulting for these big organizations, all that knowledge gets put back into product, plugin. But I'm curious, you told me a couple stories. Can you share a couple stories, a snippet of things from those clients to kind of demonstrate this a little bit?
Oh, well, there's tons of stories that I can share, but let's maybe limit to 3. Don't have to go far away. There was not even a month ago, one of our premium customers just sent us an email saying, hey, our homepage on a website was deleted. And that was a large website. We're talking about large and complex too. Talking about like several dozens of roles, 1.5 million active users on the site. And boom, and the homepage just disappeared. And they asked our help to troubleshoot where the attack came from, how that even happened. So they shared with us just basically a list of roles and capabilities, and quickly glanced through the setups and settings. We found out there's 9 roles that have the ability to delete the published page. 9 roles, hundreds of users that assigned to that role. So you don't have to be even a hacker. That entire attack could come from one of those users that could accidentally, I would say probably accidentally, deleted the homepage. And when somebody makes mistakes, it takes a lot of courage to say that they made that mistake. But did they say it or not? I don't know. But that's one of the examples where you have you don't really pay attention to your roles and capabilities. In the technical terms, if you look at a OWASP top 10 list, that is considered to be a insecure design. It's a number 4 most critical issue with a web application that is common these days. So it was insecure design. Simply, website owners did not pay attention to roles, capabilities, who can do what, when, and how. So that's one nightmare, and I think it's pretty substantial.
And I'll say, just drawn for that story, I want to pull this up for a second, abstract this out. That right there tells me e-commerce, membership sites, anything you're doing where you have potentially hundreds or thousands of users, and some of those plugins create new roles and capabilities that you might not be aware of. Absolutely. And that's, to me, just says, hold on, if you do e-commerce, some kind of membership stuff, lots and lots of people on your site, being aware of those roles and capabilities created from some of those plugins, huge issue. Because when you said 9 for a second, I go, is there even 9 based in WordPress? But that right there, I know, for instance, WooCommerce, you get new user settings. Yep. And great software being updated and maintained in a secure manner. However, some of these things can slip past.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So that's the first. Deleting the homepage of a huge site like that. Ouch.
Yeah, that was painful to even read that email. So another example would be there was one of the customers of us that actually had to pay about $70,000 fine because they were writing content for the financial sector, and one of the contributors had a elevated privilege to edit publish posts. And unfortunately, one of those posts was talking about, I think, as a credit card deals, and they just changed one of the numbers in the deal that caused the banking institution that issued those credit cards to pay extra money to those people who sign up for credit cards. So essentially, within a day, there was hundreds and hundreds of customers that created a credit card because of the mistake in the disclosure. And well, company ended up paying, not company, insurance got involved, and essentially insurance covered all these fees. But this is unpleasant, right? When you don't really pay attention to what your contributors, writers, editors can do with the content. So if your website is primarily content-based, it is extremely important to pay attention to these type of capabilities. And again, mostly overlooked, heavily overlooked topic.
So often, because the sites I personally have, or, a friend site, I'll default to admin. But the fact is, even in that case, that if you bring it down to everyday level, is if you give an admin to somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, get in there, they can mess up a theme, they can mess up a plugin setting, they could delete stuff. And I know from an agency perspective, that's why agencies are very careful what roles, what capabilities they give to clients sometimes who frankly don't want to get in there and mess something up, but they need to be able to do their thing, which is create a piece of content or things like that.
Yep.
So yeah, that brings it home for me. And you mentioned a third.
Yeah, the third one, that was terrifying. So in WordPress, there is in general settings, the drop down that allows you to select default role that is assigned to newly created user. So where users can go register on a site, and that role is automatically assigned to that user. So somehow, from that drop down, the administrator role was selected for pretty busy site. So we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of users, new users were created with administrator role. Here you are. You have hundreds of users, highly with a website that has a high traffic. They got admin access to the entire website. That was insane.
See, these are often, it sounds like accidents, simple, understandable accidents. Like when I'm adding the user, or if I'm on that settings page doing something and then don't realize I've clicked that. Now I've just exposed a bunch of people to having access to the site that can wreak havoc.
I think they call it like cat ran on your keyboard, or whatever the term is.
Oh yeah. We had to have, it's simple. All of us have worked on the keyboard on the internet. Know these things are going to happen.
Yep.
But these are all great demonstrations of the potential risk or leaving those doors open, keys with people that we don't need. Well,
right.
Thank you for that. I know through the work you do with consulting with clients, specifically on this level, you've gone very, very deep with it. You put most of these things into the plugin for everybody to use on an everyday level to get better control of their site. And we talked about this being a nuance, a part of WordPress security. Now, let's dig down practically and talk about some takeaways. In all of this experience you've had doing this work, building the product, working with clients, what are some of the things that you think it needs to be known more out there about WordPress access?
Yep. That's a very good question. I would say one thing that, and I see it's probably the biggest problem in WordPress in general, is a issue of recycled capabilities. Either I don't think anybody using the terms. So I came up with it. Recycle capabilities. It's when plugin developers, theme developers use existing capabilities to protect certain features of the plugins. So, for example, edit pages. I've seen e-commerce solutions that use edit pages as the capability to protect highly sensitive parts of their functionality. So essentially, any editor, because editors typically have an edit pages capability, any editors immediately get full admin access to the entire e-commerce solution. So that is the problem of recycled capabilities, like manage options. It's another common capability that is used by many plugins and theme developers to protect certain features. Even subscriber can get a manage options capability if you accidentally assign that capability to the subscriber role. So you see, that's the thing about access controls. A lot of time we think about roles. I assign certain role to this user and that's it. Well, the truth is that the role itself is just a placeholder or the container for the capabilities. So you have to actually think in a term of capabilities versus terms of roles. Because again, subscriber role can have more privileges than administrator role if you incorrectly configure everything. And there are a handful of plugins that allow you to manipulate capabilities on a site. So that's where I see the biggest problem, recycle capabilities, understanding which plugins and themes using which capabilities to grant certain access. And here's the thing, you might know that plugin A use certain capabilities today, but tomorrow they release a new update, they added a new features, and boom. And now users are not supposed to have access to these features, might have that access because, all the plugins in WordPress continuously evolving. There is a new features added every day, something changed, and developers might make a mistake and assume that certain capabilities are correct capabilities, but in reality, not so often. So that's, I would say, one practical takeaway, understanding and being aware that there is such a risk as a recycle capabilities and periodically monitor your website is crucial. Another big takeaway is to understand if your website is in a space of if it's in a space of content, so you're primarily publishing content, you're primarily posting new things. It's very important to understand the concepts like post types, taxonomies, terms, posts, relationship between all these things, because that helps better to define how you structure your content and how you grant access to your content for different contributors, editors, because I think it's more applicable to agencies and the big companies, because as project gets bigger, as a website gets bigger, there's more people involved in the content production. Like small websites, they have one writer, they might have one editor, and it's done. A bigger companies, we're talking about 30 plus people that work on one piece of content. It's actually contributors or freelancers for writing content, and we have editors, and we have reviewers. We might have external reviewers. We might have SEO analysts. We might have a business analyst, and all these people contribute to one piece of content one way or another, and they have different roles and responsibilities. And a lot of times, what I see personally is all of these people, without exceptions, have exactly the same access level. They all can edit content, they all can publish it, they all can delete it. And, that poses a lot of risks, compliance risks, security risks, integrity risks. So that's going to be another takeaway. If understand what your website is doing, understand the content and the relationship between your content, and think twice about your access strategy to the content, because content in the end of the day is your asset, something that brings people to the site. So be extra cautious how you organize it and how you grant access to it. So that's going to be the second takeaway. And the third one is truly understand the concept of role and capabilities. Especially it's a really simple concept, but it's not really simple when you start drilling deep. Like, for example, capabilities. There are three different types of capabilities. There are simple capabilities that are stored in the database and they are directly assigned to a role or to a user. We're talking about dynamic capabilities. It's a capability that don't have a trail in database, but they are injected by plugins or code into the user as a website loads. So those capabilities leave no trail. You don't even know that those capabilities exist, but they are added through the code to the user. So it's really hard to track these type of capabilities. And the third one is a compound capability. It's a capability that require additional conditions in order for user to be able to do certain things. And like WordPress core itself has about 50 different compound capabilities, and more plugins adding complex capabilities as well. So maybe it's confusing people what compound is. Compound capability, it's a capability that more complex than just yes, no. If you grant this capability to the user, it doesn't mean that the user will be able to do certain thing. And there are all kind of conditions, but typically undocumented conditions when this capability is active or inactive. But I'll stop on that because I can talk about compound capabilities for a long period of time. So yeah.
I mentioned, so it's already come up, but I mentioned to you in a previous conversation we had, having a sheet here, like when you said 50, my eyes went wide for a second, and having some map of all those things and simple explanations. So ping Vasyl, check out his website. I was like, roles and capabilities should and could be another webinar we do and conversation we have, because it's nuanced, help people understand that more. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we always want to be practical, and I'm so thankful for Vasyl being here, my friend. I appreciate you sharing your expertise, your experience with others. We want to be real practical and dig down. So you gave us three things to be really thinking about. Now let's get down to the practical takeaways, things we can do today that would help us better control our WordPress access.
Yep. I can give a few. But first, everything starts from the mindset. You have to change your mindset and think about the website as a collection of assets. You would not have a website if you did not expect maybe profit or something that's fulfilling your mission. So it's important to you. That's why think about a website as an asset and think about how you protect your asset, especially assets that already generate certain interest, generate some income, generate some, you know what I mean. So if you think about your website as an asset, naturally you want to protect it. Naturally you start thinking in a term what other users can or cannot do. I would always advise to apply least privilege approach, which means by default, you restrict access to everything and you only allow features or things that users are absolutely needing. And if they don't need it, you revoke. Don't be too generous, which leads to the next thing. Don't create too many administrators. I've seen so many times, at this point, probably hundreds of times, websites with 20, 30, 50 administrators. That's mind-blowing. Here's the thing, you might trust, and in general, we have to trust people. As a human being, you naturally want to trust people, but it doesn't mean that that person, adhere to all the security practices. The person might have a credentials on a poster note on the fridge in a co-working space. You never know. The credentials can be stolen, and boom. So if you have 50 administrators on your sites, you potentially have 50 doors that anybody can walk in. Reduce amount of highly privileged users to minimum. Ideally to 1, 2, and then only create users that have least amount of privileges possible.
And like Vasyl on that example, so I was just thinking about my personal side. I need to go log in, but I go, okay, I might not want to delete the user, but I could push them down to maybe a subscriber role,
That's
like
right.
very, very minimal role. Okay.
Yep. And that would be the best practice. Just push them down. And here's the thing. If they really need access to something, they're going to reach out to you, right? They're going to say, hey, I cannot do these things. I used to do it. And then you work through that. But more often, you never get back. You never receive this type of request because they don't even log in. So that's going to be another important rule you have to always obey. Just minimum amount of users possible that have a highly privileged access. Continuously monitor and revise all the roles and capabilities that are registered on the site. It can get really challenging at scale. If you have, let's say, thousands of users on a site, there is no way you're going to go to each user and check what capabilities they have. Because in WordPress, you can actually grant capabilities to the user directly. So the user can have a, let's say, subscriber role, but you can directly assign all administrator capabilities to the user. And now user becomes an admin in a sense. But, there are ways to automate this process, and we've done that many times with some of our clients. We have a set of scripts that periodically monitor websites to make sure that no additional capabilities are added by plugins or themes to any users or roles. But, at least periodically checking roles and capabilities would be important. And you mentioned like WooCommerce. WooCommerce obviously introduces a custom roles like shop manager or there are a couple more roles I can't recall top of my head, but yeah, they do. And many plugins automatically, as soon as you activate, they automatically add custom capabilities to the list. Being aware, understanding what those capabilities do, who has them, it must do, no matter what. You must do. How many times I've working in a corporate, I think the very first thing you really have to do is to evaluate your WordPress hosting. And I know we talked about it. A2 is sponsoring this webinar, so it's kind of like biased, right? But I must say that hosting is first thing you have to think about. The good hosting is the hosting that is your partner. Is your partner somebody who can take the basics out of your plate, like making sure that all the plugins are patched, that your file system is read-only, that you adhere to the best practices regarding the passwords and maybe two-factor authentication. These are de facto things that most good hostings give you out of box, and you don't have to think about it. So that will eliminate probably 99% of any possible security incidents on your end. The thing is, a lot of website owners think like, oh, there is some guy sitting in a dark room with a hoodie and they're trying to hack your website. Well, it doesn't work this way. People not going to put time to go hack some site. Most of the time, it's automated tools that just go penetrate all these WordPress sites, and boom, some of them have the exposed vulnerability, and then they maybe they're going to go and look into your website and try to hack it further. But having a good hosting provider that can, monitor the website, give you a good foundation to grow is must have. So yeah, security starts from good foundation, first of all. So that would be a few practical tips that I would give to the audience today.
So I think this is all great because one is just first step is awareness. Hey, this is a thing. And when we were talking, I was like, gosh, I hadn't thought about that too often. Mm-hmm. I'll real quickly give an admin role to somebody who needs in my site, forget about it. 2 years later going, wow, that's sitting there, open door. And I will say, bringing the house analogy back to all of this, I've told you several times, we had a security system on our house, but for a long time didn't arm it. So my peace of mind was that little sign sitting out on the side. And then our car got stolen from our driveway. By the way, we left the keys in the car. Somebody got very lucky, opened the door, keys are in there. Same thing with, like, let's say an e-commerce site or a membership site where you rely on it or your business. There's transactional data. In fact, one of the questions that came up was talking about that too. And you go, it's like leaving your keys in an open door in your car. Something's going to happen at some point. If not, you're incredibly lucky. So thank you for this. I got a lot. We've even got a follow-up webinar to talk about is roles and capabilities, just diving into that. Those keys you give people and what it can do and can't do. And one of the things that surprised me to learn that you could look through your list. I could go on my site today and look through my list and see subscribers, but the capabilities is the other side. And I think you've given some outstanding examples that we want to use as motivation to secure properly through access to your site so it doesn't get hacked for you and your clients. Okay, well, I know some of this. Thank you for coming on. You've generously donated your time and expertise to come on and share this. I want to know about your All Access Manager plugin and what you're excited about next. And I would assume, Vasyl, some of this are things that you can do with the plugin to help better secure this. And if you could talk about that and then what you're excited about next with the plugin.
Well, thank you for ability to kind of promote the product that I own. So yes, Advanced Access Manager, it's a plugin that I use the word we because I had several people on and off coming in helping with the different aspects of the product in general. For example, last year when I really decided to go full time with this product, I met with Jason Lexel from a Digital Harvesting. He really helped me with the marketing and the positioning of the product. There are a few developers from Ukraine that helped me to develop certain features over time. There's multiple people who are engaged in different types of different times and different aspects. So I use sometimes we, sometimes I use I interchangeably. So Advanced Access Manager, it's first of all, I've got so much overwhelmingly positive feedback, and I'm receiving that pretty much every day. People are really excited about using the product. They're really asking a good question. They're really motivating me to push forward because it's a tool that really provides the value today as it stands. It's been proven by time. Over the 10 years, it's been on the market and only organic growth. Never put a single dollar of marketing. It's just organically. And I think it's approaching to 200,000 active installations on the WordPress.org repository. So my goal by leaving the corporate world and putting full time into this product is to consolidate all the knowledge that I've obtained in the past 20 years, working in the big enterprises and the small agencies, put all this knowledge into the plugin itself. So most of the functionality will be free always, because in the end of the day, I'm grateful for the WordPress and the community that gives me that opportunity to finally, be my own person and contribute to the world, right? So the next version that is coming, version 7, we actually introducing the one of a kind software developer kit. So it's going to be SDK with a access control framework, because we start getting more and more requests from developers and agencies on how to leverage plugin to do some advanced from the features, advanced functionality. So there is a demand and there is a gap on the market on that front, and we are basically almost done with a framework that is launching with a version 7, and I'm super excited, super pumped about that. But overall, what really makes me happy personally is to support people in their journey. Support with helping them to define better access strategies, helping them to grow their projects, especially at scale. Because at scale, it's really hard to scale if you don't have a solid foundation. Because you have to deal now with all the hiccups if foundation is shaky, and you also want to grow, which now create this disbalance. Many projects really fail at scale. And AAM was actually built for scale. We have a third party, I think it's a WP Hive. So they do the plugin scans to evaluate how fast they are, how secure they are, if there are any problems. So AAM is actually faster than 99% of other WordPress plugins in official repository. So it's really fast, it's tailored for scale, it has a solid foundation, it's proven by time, and it's really in a space of security and access management, which, on that note, if we go back to OWASP top 10 list, broken access control is issue number 1 these days in the open web. And we are exactly in the space of access management. So helping website owners, helping project owners to really button down that risk. So
You said WASP. I think
OWASP.
you said that.
OWASP.
Oh, WASP.
It's a OWASP. It's a open web application security project. It's a really known in the space of security. So every 4 years they release top 10 most common issues that leads to the security breaches, to data breaches, and how they do that, they evaluate over 100,000 incidents, and based on that distill to top 10 problems that caused those issues. So broken access control was nominated number 1 problem back in 2021. Insecure design was number 4. So AAM is covering those 2 aspects, like things like misconfigured settings or outdated components or outdated plugins or insufficient monitoring. They are down to the list. So broken access control and insufficient design are actually much higher on that list. So that really excites me that we have something that really has a value and meaning to today's web, especially WordPress.
So I'm curious, free or pro version of your plugin, some of the takeaways, some of the examples we gave, what are a couple of the things that your plugin does to help with this? Because when you're talking about, and there's actually a question here. So after this, everyone, make sure you post your Q&A in the Q&A button right here below at the Zoom toolbar. But someone even mentioned like how I do certain things. I know your plugin helps make it easier to do all this stuff, because I was like, oh, how do I keep from messing up the subscriber down, toolbar or pull down menu?
Mm-hmm.
But based on some of the things you've recommended today, what are just one or two things that your plugin does that make it easier for people to do, secure WordPress access management?
Yep, it's a good question. I think one of the biggest thing is with a pro version is ability to enable restricted mode. So basically, deny everything by default. And AM is very granular, so you can, if you think about WordPress website in general, it's a collection of resources, different resources that users have access to and they can interact with. For example, admin menu. If we think about it as a resource, there's all these admin items that people can go and click. AM can allow you to, by default, deny access to all admin items. and only explicitly allow those that are needed. So even if user is administrator, they still won't be able to access any restricted admin pages. Heavily overlooked and almost never talked is a RESTful API. You guys have to understand that today state of WordPress is anything that you can do in an admin area, you can do with a RESTful API, which is a programmatic way to interact with the site. Any of you now can go on your site and do /wp-json, and that is we call it a discovery endpoint, which spits out all the RESTful API endpoints that your website exposes to the world. That gives enormous amount of information to the potential hackers and all these automated tools that try to penetrate your site. These type of endpoints should be locked down, especially RESTful API endpoints, because they are the doors to your site. So AAM allows you to also enable the restricted mode on a RESTful API. Another things would be when you're talking about the content, some of the common things that people have is like, how can I restrict access to all pages? Do not allow to edit all pages, but only allow few pages for certain users. Well, that's where AAM comes in play. There's no real limitation of what you can do with managing access, particularly to your content. With AAM, we put a lot of hours. We're talking about thousands of hours just in that particular aspect, ability to manage access to your content. And it's not only just allow or deny. We're talking about maybe 20 different ways to interact with the content. Ability to publish, edit, delete, ability to lock down to the certain time frame, ability to lock down for certain geographical location. Just name it, but hide. That's something that's really powerful about AAM. You can hide content. You can restrict direct access to it. You can. I can go on and on. I'm already like, I was like, I need to slow down because.
No, that's great. Well, check out Vasyl's site. I put a link in the chat. It's aamportal.com. There's a free version out there that does a lot. Check out some of the features and hit up Vasyl for more questions about his product. But Vasyl, I want to get to a couple of these questions, some really good ones coming in. By the way, if you have a question for Vasyl, post this in the Q&A button right at the bottom of the Zoom bar. So here's one from John, and it's great. So in my scenario, I mentioned I need to give access to my site for someone. He mentions a theme developer or tech support or whatever that might be. What's the best way, practice to do that?
We call it temporary access to site. It's like essentially there is a way to do like a passwordless URLs. There are plugins that allow us to do the passwordless URLs. AAM offer that feature in a free version. Essentially, it's a URL that you send to your support member, and they can just click that URL and it logs into their site as that user. And what's great, for example, about AAM is that you can set a time frame when that access expires. So you don't, because you can forget tomorrow that you give it, and it will take care of it. So you can set like for 1 day, 1 hour, for a week, and after that, user will be automatically logged out, and they will not be able to relog in again. So always think about if it's not a permanent person, temporary. Always give a temporary access.
That is excellent. I put that into the chat because like next time I do that, set it for some time frame. You think, okay, they probably need it for a week. Set it for a couple weeks out so you don't forget, and then do that. And knowing it's in the free plugin, I put that link into the chat there. Go install that today when you're looking at giving temporary access to someone. That's excellent, Vasyl. Okay, next question by Ed. Is there a way to make that drop down we mentioned in WordPress changed only with admin and a verification, or is there some manner to prevent that from happening that you suggest?
Yes. So I really love WordPress for WordPress core for its flexibility. With the hooks and filters, you can pretty much do anything you desire, and you can filter out roles that you don't want to grant, you don't want to show to other users. Let's say you might have 5 administrators on your site. You can do it with AAM, or you can write your own code. There is a way to say nobody gonna see administrator role on the site, and you can create a rule that excludes administrator role from any dropdown, from any mentioning on your backend area or RESTful APIs. So it is important to protect administrator role. You should ideally only one person should be able to create other admin users. Yeah, all other, even if they administrators, they should not be able to edit other administrators or create, or technical term in WordPress called promote users to the administrator role. So you can exclude role or filter out the role, administrator role from the list. You can do it with AAM. There's probably other handful of plugins that can do the same thing.
Excellent. So I believe it's Nisia. Said, Vasyl, how can a subscriber get additional responsibilities without knowing about it? If a user is defined as a subscriber, it would limit its rights automatically, or maybe I misunderstood your point. So in that scenario, you mentioned like subscriber, but has admin. I mean, that's a real undercover way to do that, but there is a way you mentioned of changing capabilities within WordPress for those rules.
Yeah, there is a way. It's mostly like somebody deliberately does it, or was it just pure mistake? But we should not exclude it as a risk factor, right? So we can have any inexperienced administrator going and changing capabilities for the subscriber role, or switching to, a lot of times I call it the problem of microcoding, where developers create snippets of code and then inject them in a theme or plugin that go and manipulate roles and capabilities. Mm. And then they forget about those micro codes. And it's like a needle in a stack of hay. It sits there, it always runs there, and it's always changing something. It's very common with redirects. I've seen real examples of businesses losing thousands of dollars because these micro codes were executing redirecting users somewhere else. But this same way, I've seen microcodes that add certain capabilities to users directly, and you never know. You never know. As a regular administrator of the site who just work with a backend, log into WP admin, they will never see that. They will never know that there was some code running that changing all these capabilities.
Larry has a great question. A WordPress person he works with needs admin access, or at least backend access, but it's a WooCommerce site, so he doesn't want to expose financials via WooCommerce. What would be your suggestions for that?
Yeah, you can exclude. So WooCommerce is good, very good, because they introduce their own custom capabilities a lot of times. I cannot speak for all the add-ons because there's so many different third-party add-ons for WooCommerce. But pay attention to the capability that are needed to those financial reports and analytics, and exclude those capabilities from that user. AAM, again, I don't use AAM, but with AAM, it's really easy to find those capabilities. You can go to AAM backend menu, and you can see which capabilities are assigned to each menu, and you can accordingly exclude those capabilities from the user, or even restrict access to those admin pages. All that is free. There is no need to have a premium for this type of functionality.
And by the way, AAM is Vasyl's plugin. There's a free and a pro version. I put the link aamportal.com to be able to do those type of things. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks.
And most of the functionality we're talking here about is included in a free version. You will know exactly when you need to have premium. Simple as that.
Let's see here. Looking through, keep posting your questions. Is two-factor feature of AAM?
No, we're debating on including the authentication as a part of AAM, but there are so many great solutions out there. Just going to be another thing. We'd rather focus on authorization piece, which means what user cannot do, and how do you authenticate. We'll leave to other plugins to do so. What we want to do is to partner with some trusted plugins and maybe create some joint campaigns and tutorials and documentations to educate people how both plugins can work together seamlessly. I think that's the highest we can go.
Yeah. Well, that's good too, because the plugin can get way too big and overstep what you're trying to do with this. And but great question there. Or it says, I haven't worked on my website for several months for various reasons. Does this increase the danger of attack? So I'm curious about this too. Oftentimes I'm sitting, it's doing what I need it to do. I haven't even logged in. I mean, there's websites I haven't logged in in a long time. I'm curious your approach to that.
Yep.
And also if the free or paid plugin has features around that. I know from doing security plugins in the past that, it's a thing you might want to potentially lock down, but I want to pose that to you. You're the expert.
And while that goes back to the things that I mentioned about hosting, you have to choose the right partner that will monitor your website, that will notify you when you have outdated plugins or you have outdated WordPress core that needs to be updated. This is de facto. Honestly, there's so many people that do not log into their sites for months or even years, right? But having the right hosting will just eliminate that trouble of going continuously updating things. It can be just automatically. And I've seen bad hostings. I've seen fantastic hostings. So yeah, evaluate your partner, because in the end of the day, hosting provider is your partner. And when it's coming to locking down, yeah, again, if you apply the least privilege approach to everything on your site and you really paying attention which users you have, what roles they have, what capabilities they have, that you don't really need to revise it on a daily basis. In the end of the day, security is not just the tools that you have, it's the practices that you adhere to, right? It's a discipline. First of all, you have to be very disciplined, and you have to find a time, once a quarter, maybe once a year, depending on your site, and revise, monitor, or hire us. I'm happy to help with it, right? That's why I'm doing consulting on the side to help us things like that.
Yeah, you can go here if you're interested or want to buy some of Vasyl's time and talk through some things. I gave his main website, vasyltech.com, for that. Okay, we've got 2 minutes. Vasyl, had been awesome, enlightening webinar. We've got several votes for the roles and capabilities webinar. So after this, I'll be following up to try to see if you want to get that scheduled, because I think you open up a door here, which is awesome. Fazan says, can one administrator alter the capabilities of another admin?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So back to your practice, one admin, one, and then delegate roles downstream of that.
Yep. It happens all the time. One admin cannibalizing another admin. And we're probably getting every 2-3 weeks question like that. How can we hide other administrators from the admins so they don't really mess each other? Yeah, that's totally doable.
Okay, one last, I think it's really appropriate for some of our agency owners. With AAM, your product installed, can people still use things like main WP and manage WP to manage their websites? And how does that work?
Yep. Okay. We're really paying attention to compatibility, and if there's any issues with compatibilities, we work with other plugin owners to resolve those things. And yeah, we haven't heard any problems particularly with this too.
Excellent. Well, Vasyl, how can they learn more about you, follow your work? I know you're on Twitter, now you're LinkedIn. and then your website, vasyltech.com.
Yep. Vasyltech.com, it's like a shell company for to basically manage several products that we have on our end. But to follow us is, I think the best way to reach out is to go amportal.com. And if you have any questions or you want to start a conversation, just send a email to support at plugin.com. And, I can always jump on a Zoom with people who want to talk. I like to jump on a Zoom. And yeah, that's, or LinkedIn, send me a request on LinkedIn and let's have a conversation.
Excellent. Vasyl, my friend, thank you so much. Enlightening, helpful. We've already got like 2 more topics to see if you can come back and share with everybody. But everybody, if you've benefited from this, I hope you have great practical information from an expert that knows these things. Please tweet, share, tell people to go install the plugin. Vasyl gives of his time generously. I was going to caution you, like jumping on Zooms and everything. That's the kind of person you are, though, is generous. But please go say thanks to Vasyl. This has been an excellent webinar conversation on WordPress Access. It's a very important yet often overlooked WordPress security feature. So I hope you'll at least go look at the free plugin, do some of these things to help protect yourself and your websites and your, like you said, assets. So thanks, my friend.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you all.